I know we've only known each other for 4 weeks and 3 days, but to me, it seems like 9 weeks and 5 days.
Oh no. Got to make sure my settings are right. All right, everybody. Welcome to Let's Get Growing, our weekend Sunday edition of Let's Get Growing here on the Urban Gardener channel. I'm so glad to have all of you with us here. We've got a great show ahead for you here today. We've got a nice roundtable discussion with my good friends, Khang Starr and Christopher Brandsdal join with us here in just a few minutes later on the show. Gonna have a great conversation. It's been a little while since we've got the three of us together here. We did do a show where we tried to get together just a few weeks back, but things didn't work out quite much. But we did get a good conversation with Chris in. But now we get the three of us together. It's really cool when we get to do this. We, once or twice, maybe a year, but usually get a good conversation with these guys is always really fun on our show. So looking forward to that here in just a few minutes. So yeah, great to have all of you here with me. And if you are joining with us right now at the top of the show, definitely click the like button, subscribe button as well too if you haven't done that yet, and share with all of your friends. And right now too, I encourage everybody, especially those who are watching on our replay right now too as well, is to get into our comment section and just leave some comments. Say hi if that's all you want to do. Let me know you're watching, let me know you're here. If you got any sort of suggestions, anybody you might want to see on the show in future shows, all of that sort of stuff, I would love to hear from you, no matter what you have to say. Comments are actually one of those things that are really important too, to help get videos seen out there too. So it's a good way to help out the show so that we can get seen just a little bit more, hopefully. So make sure we got those sort of interactions, the comments, the likes, all that sort of stuff for our show, especially when it becomes a replay too, as it's a video that stays on, and that'll help us just get seen more in the YouTube algorithm. So definitely do that. And if you have any questions or comments or anything like that too for us while you're here live, definitely jump into the live chat with us here. I see we already got our great moderator, Jay Dixon, joining with us. Greatest moderator on YouTube. And we're so lucky to have Jay with us, joining with us on the shows here on the weekend, helping moderate our comment section and basically just doing a wonderful job dropping in comments or dropping in links is what I mean to things that we're talking about and all of that too. So very helpful and really awesome to have you here, Jay. Thank you so much. Looks like we got LP joining with us here. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to you too as well, LP. Great to see you. And of course, we got Kang in the comment section as well too. Hey, Kang. We'll be getting to talk to him in just a little bit here as well too. Oh, and wait a minute. Wait. There's real quick. There's Christopher. Howdy as well too. We'll see him in just a minute as well with Kang and Laura. Look, Laura McComet joining with us here. Hello, new subscriber. Thanks to Gardner Scott from the Oregon Garden Coast. Awesome, Laura. That's great. Yeah, actually, that's something too I was going to mention to everybody is this last Monday. Last Monday on Gardner Scott's channel, I joined with him on his morning live stream, and we had a really awesome discussion about all things gardening and answering questions and doing all that sort of stuff. It's always really awesome to get together with Gardner Scott. And so yeah, I was on his show last Monday, and And then as well too, I also wanted to mention to people as well, and I've got to get links for this put into the description. I was just thinking about this before the show as I was getting some things together. I'm sure maybe Jay might get us a link to this other one as well. But we were on the Gardner Scott channel on Monday, and then as well this last week, I can't remember what day it was. It was right at the end of April. We also were on Farmer Greg's podcast. He has the Urban Farm podcast, and that was really fun. We recorded that a little while back ago, and it totally kind of went. I mean, almost. I mean, I hate to say, I almost forgot that we did it. I do so much filming and the live streams and all that sort of stuff, and then that popped up as someone was telling me that they were listening to it and checking it out, and that's really awesome. It was a really great conversation. Talk a bit about my garden story and some of just about me. It was kind of fun. It's always fun to be interviewed by someone else, as I love to do all the interviews here on our show, but it was really fun to be interviewed by someone else. And the Farmer Greg does a great podcast, so definitely go check that out if you're here with us live. Maybe Jay will get us a link into the comments there, and then right after the show, I do got a note right here telling me put a link into the description. I'll make sure that we have a link in the description for all of those of you who are watching the replay. So definitely check those out if you can. Those are really great. And then if you are there though, and if you have an ability to leave a comment or a review or anything like that when it comes to those shows, definitely jump in those comment sections as well too, and let the Gardner Scott know, let Farmer Greg know that you're checking it out from the Urban Gardener channel, and let them know that you came from here as well too. I love it when we can do that too. And I really appreciate you saying that when you're in the comments there about that you came here over from there too. So that kind of lets me know, and I get to know that, where people are also coming to us from as well too. So that's awesome. So thanks again, Laura, for joining with us on the show here. And looks like we've got also Jersey Girl joining with us again today. It was great to see you here. Thank you so much for joining with us on the show. So really awesome show and discussion we've got for you coming up here in a little bit here. I did kind of want to talk about a couple of things real quick here as well too. Yesterday we had an awesome conversation with let's see here, let me get this up for everybody real quick. Destin Enoch from I think in Noack. I can't remember. Oh man, I'm so sorry, Destin. For the Texas Garden Guy, just had an awesome conversation with him, man. Again, too, we've been having some great people on our show on Saturdays, and getting to have some really great discussions with them. Destin was really awesome. He's got a great garden story too. Came from the military, and then after that, kind of got into gardening to kind of get that kind of escape from the kind of like a that mental health thing we're all looking for when we're out there in our gardens, like just kind of escape from the world type of stuff. And he's just built just an amazing garden, and I follow a lot of his stuff that he puts out, and it just always really some great stuff to see. So definitely check that interview out. And as well too, on the show we did have Ryan Cook from Heavenly Hills Homestead on. And Ryan's really great. It was really great to finally get him on the show as well too, because he called me a while back ago. In fact, maybe almost last year even, or something, or maybe it was towards the end of last season or something that we did. He called me up, or not really called me up. He sent me a message and invited me onto his live stream. And so I've actually been on his live stream a couple of times since then. And so it was really great to finally be able to get him on the show. So yeah, definitely. I just wanted to show you guys. I was thinking about this as well too for the front segment of the show, or for one of the front segments of our Sunday show as well too. Because on Saturday I give you a nice little clip before we start the show of like a little video clip of something going on in the garden. I was thinking on the Sunday show, what I would do is kind of do like a short little kind of Sunday slideshow. Just give you kind of maybe a few pictures that we can kind of go through and take a look at some of the things that I've got growing on in my garden outside. I would love to be able to go out there and show you everything that I grow, but that would take up the whole show, and we wouldn't be able to get our great guests on here in just a little bit. So so I'm thinking about doing that. But I just thought of that actually right before the show, because I was outside checking out things kind of as I do before the show. It's after the rain, so I wanted to kind of check on things as well too. And one of the things that really surprised me, because I haven't really, been back for quite a few days in my back patio area, because and I noticed that the clematis just started blooming, and I was like, wow. I've had maybe 3 or 4 nice blooms come off of this as it was growing over the last couple of years. I've had it about 2 years now, I think. And one of the things that's I find really kind of surprising about the clematis too is right up to the bottom there, where you see the bottom flowers, anything below that all the way to the ground are these stems that just look like they're dead. And it kind of, I put the plant aside last year after its first year, because I didn't know if like it was gonna, if it was even alive or anything anymore. So I kind of, put kind of some of those plants aside, and sure enough, though, last spring it bloomed and came alive again, and I was really surprised. So I pulled it out of that pile, brought it over to this spot next to this kind of ladder I've got going up to where our rooftop garden's going to come back. We're going to bring the rooftop garden back again this year. So I got the ladder there, so we got the clematis growing up there. And again too, I was really surprised to see that it started getting green again, and then came out today and saw these just really awesome flowers. They're just really, really great. So so nice surprises in the garden today. And I know they're just, again, loving everything. I got a really great drink from all of the rain yesterday. So I've got one of my fig trees looking really nice. And again, too, getting lots of really good growth off of them. Again, they didn't do very well for me last year. I didn't think they did very well anyways. And this year they're just growing like crazy, looking really nice. I can't remember what the name of this one is exactly. I'd have to go back and look at the tag again. But this one here is a Chicago fig. And I was showing this picture to our guests just before we started the show, because the leaves are all curling on it, and it's pretty much because of all of that rain too. And especially because it's in a container, so it's probably got really saturated by the rain. But they were assuring me that yeah, it just got a nice drink. It's going to be loving it, and probably just grow like crazy from there. And then real quick here, like I said, I could go all day on about this stuff, so we got to be careful about this slideshow idea. But real quick, I'm going to show you, we got our peas growing on our pea trellis in the alleyway, and they're starting to put off some flowers. So looking forward to getting some peas here real soon. And we got our other container tree out there, or one of our other container trees, our pear tree. And we do got a few different pear fruits on it. Not as many as I was hoping. I mean, our peach tree I showed yesterday is just booming with peaches all over it, but the pears still. But I've got a few, so I'm hopeful they'll stay on. So right now I'm at this stage of just hoping they hold on. And as soon as they start swelling up a little bit more, I'll be a little bit more assured. But yeah, got a few of those really nice. And then so that's a lot of really great things that we've got in the garden growing right now. So again, I'll try to put something together there. We'll do something here for the Sunday show. I think that's kind of a great idea, is kind of show a little bit of things that we've got growing on in the garden. So right on. Let's see here again to get to where we're going. I'm going to take just a moment here, and then when we come back, we'll bring in our guests for today and get our roundtable discussion going with our good friends Khang and Christopher. Hey, gardeners, thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. Our weekly garden journals, and our incredible featured visits. All right, all right, all right. So what is it you enjoy in the garden space? All of us get a little bit something different from our garden a lot of times, and I love to hear some of those things. So definitely jump into the comments there, and definitely let's go ahead and get this going. I need to actually get this here. We'll have our featured guest.
You never know when you might learn something, and that's what this is about for me. These are people that I admire. Please welcome my next guest.
All right, all right. So let's bring in our guests for today. Let's see here. Oh no. Again, too, this is what I was trying to do. Let me change the background here. Boom. All right, our first guest we've got joining with us here is Khang Starr, joining us from Texas. And joining us as well, too, our good friend Christopher Brandsdal, joining us from the mountains of Norway. How's it going, guys? Good to see you here.
Doing good. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, great to have you here. Like I was mentioning too, we tried to get us together again, and we just had a scheduling situation happen or whatever. But it was finally great to get you guys together all together. I love having you guys here on our live streams and having a fun discussion as we've done now for I don't know what 4 years or so in a row now, maybe even more. Not even sure, huh? It's been a few, huh?
And I'm happy
How's it going, Christopher?
I'm happy to be back. It's just a month since last time, I think. So yeah. I'm here.
Yeah, that was the thing. I was like, man, what I need to do is really kind of schedule you guys in maybe every couple months or something, and catch up with you guys throughout the season and all of that too, you know, and kind of see how things are going, you know, that sort of stuff. How are things growing? In fact, we'll start with you, Khang, man. Since we haven't got to talk to you for a while, so how things been going? Tell us a little bit, actually, real quick, for those who haven't met you before here, maybe in the chat, or viewers watching the replay. Let us know a little bit about yourself and where you're from and all of that, and what you've got growing on now.
Okay. Thanks, Enoch. Khang here. My channel is Khang Starr, so I do a lot. I think most people know me as the pepper guy because sometimes I run into random people and that's what they call me.
Yeah.
I guess I grow mostly peppers. I do hybridization, create my own variety. I do a lot of hydroponic gardening. There's a lot of indoor stuff that I work with. Mini systems gardening, like something like this. You know, you see that?
Yeah. I love what you do with that stuff.
I grow a lot of fruit trees and herbs. And I mean, basically anything that we use a lot of herbs and vegetables daily. And so whatever we use the most, that's what I usually grow. And they're mostly the Asian vegetables, you know, like the shiso.
Okay, yeah.
You know, like the Chinese broccolis and, you know, all this Chinese herbs and all that stuff. And because that's what we use in our dishes daily. I grow a lot of Asian pears, persimmons, what else? Figs.
Oh, yeah. I was just showing my figs there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
And so I am in zone 8A, in case people are wondering. So right now it's very wet, which is good because in the next few months it's going to be very dry. And so I kind of enjoy while it lasts. And
yeah. You kind of have to. I mean, really, that's the thing. It was downpouring yesterday. I don't even know if I've seen that much rain yet this season. And I was just like, I had things I wanted to do, and it was just that much rain where you're just like, okay, you know what, we'll have to reschedule that. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was downpouring, and I was just like, yeah, you just got to kind of take it when it comes, man, because really, actually, in my forecast, it's going to go right up into the 80s here just next week. I mean, we're going right from just getting to start spring and enjoying spring to boom, summertime.
Yep.
I'm sure you get that same sort of thing in Texas, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Right on. So real quick too, I will mention too, I like, because I try to, when I check in on your channel too, I like checking in on the fact you do have like this other property where you're growing a lot of trees though too, right?
Yes. So
how are those trees doing?
Yeah, our property is around an hour and 20 minutes from here. So I try to make it out there like once a week. I grow a lot of fruit trees out there. So mainly what I try to do is grow things that don't require me to be there. And so I've been testing for the last 2 years. And there's certain trees that I've killed, like apples couldn't take it. So, that I won't be planting any more apples. But persimmon seems to be doing fine. These other what is it, the Chinese dates that I'm growing, and they just don't care about the drought. I mean, so I planted 5 of those, and they're just doing just fine. Some of my figs are still alive. They died back, but somehow they came back from the roots, and they're grown again. Pears are really, really, really tough. So I think it's because they have a different type of rootstock that can withstand the drought, and so my pears are alive. And so I'm still experimenting. So plums didn't make it, but there's a few peaches that made it. And so this year I planted a bunch more of the same varieties that are drought tolerant.
Yeah, that's a great idea too. When especially for, like you said, if it's a place that you're not at all the time, especially in that situation. But yeah, it is kind of good to have things that you could just let do its thing, and not have to really worry about it too, like that. And you were talking about the pears and all of that too. I was showing those in my little slideshow at the beginning there too. That's I was hoping for. I mean, I got really good growth, and there was so many blossoms off of this thing. I think, in fact, there were probably more blossoms that were on that tree than were on my peach tree. But my peach tree is just full of fuzzy little peaches. I got tons and tons of peaches on that, and I went and I was checking to see what little pears and how many they're growing, and I might only have maybe 4 or 5 actual little fruits this year too, to hopefully they stay alive, and keep going, because it's right at that stage. They're not quite there yet. Once they start swelling up, I think that's when the tree can hold on to them, or going to make them a little more energy to hold on to them. But at that stage they are right now, as they're just kind of forming or just getting pollinated, they can fall off too. I had tons of them fall off last year. So
do you have the variety of pears that require a pollinator? Because sometimes pears do need a pollinator.
Oh, yeah, that might be, there you go. I might have to do that. So definitely get that, and maybe that's what I'll end up doing, is go looking for another pear tree and hope for the best next year.
Yeah, even if they don't require a pollinator, if you have a pear next to them, they produce much more than they normally would.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I had a couple that that did survive last year, and that's what I'm kind of hoping for this year. But I only have so many of the little, just little buds, I guess you would say, this year. And whereas last year I had a bunch, but a lot of those fell off though. So maybe I don't know. Well, I'm hoping again. It's just again another one of those things that we'll just hope for good growth and shape up the tree a little bit better this year, and then, like you said, maybe find another variety and make do that.
Yeah, or you can graft onto another variety.
And see, and here's another thing right here, another great example. I've been gardening and growing and doing things for years, and I'm constantly still learning things myself too. And I didn't think about that when it came to a pear tree. That it might need a companion pear for better pollination.
It's always a better idea to have companion planting. I've grown some sweet cherries, and some of them require cross-pollination between different varieties, and some don't. But they all thrive better if you cross-pollinate them. But the ones that require cross-pollination really don't require it, because you can pollinate them without. But it's going to be a really bad harvest. So that's the reason why you should keep more. And that's where the family trees come in. And when you graft and do stuff like that, you will have a much better chance to have a healthy tree. If you, like, for instance, where I live, there's not too many of those types of fruit trees around. So it's really hard to get cross-pollination. So it always helps to have those varieties close together.
Yeah, I definitely know that about blueberries.
Yeah.
I've always grown my blueberries with different varieties, right next to each other in their containers, so because I knew and learned that right off the bat when it came to blueberries, but somehow I missed it on the pears and those other things. But no, that it really does make sense, so, and these are in containers too. So, I'll have to find maybe a different variety or something that might grow well in a container or something. We try to keep our hopes up when it comes to those anyways.
You can also graft onto another variety. That way you don't have to take up a lot of space.
Oh,
so my tree has
good idea.
9 or 10 varieties on it. And so I don't need a pollinating partner. It's already on the tree with it.
Maybe I'll have to have you send me a chunk of your tree or something.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people prune all the time, so I do save those, and if my friends want them, I'll send them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because that's a good idea, because I've never grafted before too, so that'd be a great opportunity for me to jump in and try that out a little bit, And I've always been fascinated with those types of trees, and I know you have a few of those types of varieties where you have multiple varieties growing on the tree together. I mean, I just find that really awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to with the family tree, that you have 4 or more varieties inside the same growth.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, I've seen let's see, fig trees that Charles from Ivy Organics did down at his place. I've seen him do that with I think he had 8 different, maybe even more different varieties growing off of one tree. That's pretty cool when you can get so many different things from one tree like that. And it's just really, again, too, one of the cool things about plants and nature is that you have the ability to do something like that.
Just look at some of the old videos from Khang where he's grafting the crazy Frankenpeppers. You have 500 pepper plants in one stem.
Oh my!
Yeah, I did. I grafted that's funny because I actually learned how to graft from doing pepper grafting.
Yeah.
Oh, and really?
I don't think I have not seen a video of people pepper grafting. So I was like, does it even work? And so I started to try it. And the stems on peppers are much softer than fruit trees. So you have to be, kind of very careful. But it ended up working, and it produced all kinds of different colors on the same plant. And the grafting was so easy. So I was like, you know what, maybe I'll just do it to my fruit tree the same way. And it worked.
But everything kind of where you have different varieties within the same type of plant, you can graft. I think almost everything can be grafted. So it's really interesting, and it's a fun way to grow. You learn so much more about the plant, and it makes it more exciting. It's like a larger Lego set where you can there's things you can build and build and build, and you quite never get to the finish line.
Yeah.
You can do the same with eggplants and with the tomatoes and everything. So it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah. That's man, always so busy doing so many different things because I just like I don't know. I don't know. I got like maybe that ADD mind where I'm just like I got to do this, do that, do this, do that. And for some reason, grafting is just one of those things that I can't seem to fit into all the things I have going on all the time. And yeah, but I really do need to give it a shot and try it out because it's just like you said, it's so cool, that idea to be able to have multiple things growing from, especially the trees though too. That for sure is definitely something I want to do real soon,
I
especially
have
now
a
knowing about the pear. So I'm on top of that.
yeah, I have a pear tree that I grew in hydroponic for 1 year, and then I took it out and put it into the ground for another year, and it grew around 3 feet tall. Not very big; it's about the size of my thumb. And then I took the mature branch from my old tree, I grafted on the young
Yeah.
tree, and now it's a 3 feet tree with fruit on it.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. The fruit won't get very big because the tree doesn't have the energy, but it's
Right.
still fun to see that such a small
Yeah.
tree in a container, and it's a pear tree that
Yeah.
has fruit. So it looks like a bonsai pretty much.
Yeah, but that's the old trick in the book. As you can see with my citrus tree, that's also a graft. You can see the graft point right there,
Oh yeah.
and this is the mature part of the tree that produces large lemons, and it's all just grafted on a stock that's really liking to grow fast and to produce a lot of moisture and everything, and it grows so much better. And I think also the professional fruit producers are also doing grafting and using grafted trees because they
Yeah.
grow so much faster.
Right.
Like for instance, the stock on this one grows
Mhm.
at the 5 times the speed of a regular lemon. So it's just another type of citrus that they just graft on, and it's a
Yeah.
much simpler way
Yeah.
to get
And
going fast.
it just makes sense though too, right? I mean, in the long
Yeah.
run.
And I've been also thinking about, because I've been losing some of the branches on the lower part right here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've been thinking and playing about, what if I just cut it around there and I graft it down there just to see how that would be, and see if I can grow like a lemon bush instead.
Right.
And
Oh,
it shouldn't be any problem at all, as long
Yeah.
as I make sure that the tree is healthy before
eventually it
I
would
start.
extend itself out though,
Yeah,
right? Or
it
would
will.
you just yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
yeah, that would
then
be
you can just,
interesting.
yeah, you can just cap it around there and say,
All
okay,
right.
this is enough, and it
All
will
right, you
be
got to do it.
plenty of space to grow indoors with fruits all the way down to the floor. So it's a
Yeah.
fun experiment.
Yeah,
Yeah, you got
you
to
gotta
do
do
that for
that.
sure. That's
You know
that would be cool.
what's another thing that's really cool that I've been doing? So talking to and Chris just mentioned about the rootstock. So I have
Yeah.
a pear tree that has a European rootstock, which is very, very strong, very
Mhm.
tolerant to diseases and stuff like that.
Mm.
Right.
And so what the tree's been doing is it's been growing offshoots from the ground of the original, of the European pear.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so what
yeah.
I've been doing, instead of cutting it off, which you're supposed to, because it drains the energy from the main tree, instead of
Yeah.
cutting it off, I allow it to grow, and then I air layer it so that I
Yeah,
can get the real
Yeah.
European rootstock, and then I
Yeah.
graft the Korean giant on top of it.
yeah,
And so now every year it produced like 4 or 5 offshoots. And so every year I got 5 trees. Now I'm trying to put it on my property because I have so many trees that I created from,
Yeah.
from this offshoot.
yeah. And
Wow, that's great.
that's so interesting. Also, as you said, that you on your property you have a problem with things drying out, and
Mhm.
that's something that you might also be able to work with on the apple trees. Also, finding a rootstock that really tolerates drought,
Yeah.
and then,
Mhm.
because the problem isn't necessarily the tree, it's more of the roots not being able
Yeah.
to take enough from whatever is there.
Yeah.
So that's probably something that could be played on also. And I don't know how that would work, if it's
Mhm.
possible to graft between pears and apples. I don't know if that's possible, but some
It
cases
is.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It is possible because I'm doing that right now. I have an apple tree that I graft a pear on top of it. So I'm
yeah,
using the
Really?
apple as the rootstock, but the top is the pear. And
yeah.
it's
Oh,
grown just
wow.
fine. It's 2 years old.
Yeah, so if
Nice.
you switch that, you might be able to actually make that going with the apples also.
That's a great idea. I might have to do that now because my European pear is so drought tolerant.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've been doing. But I didn't think to do what Chris said until you just mentioned it now. Now I'm going to do it.
Yeah, because
That's a great
it's
idea, huh?
quite obvious. It's the roots that are responsible for extracting the moisture from the soil. So and also they might grow in different patterns. The pear might go deeper, and the apple trees might go more horizontal. So I don't know, fun experiment.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that with
Right on.
persimmons, and it worked really well because the persimmons, they use the American persimmon rootstock, and those things are like unkillable.
Yeah.
And so now my persimmon tree is a fuyu, but the rootstock is an American persimmon, and it just sprouted for some reason. It sprouted one offshoot from the root of it, which is American persimmon. And last year it did one, and I dug it up. I killed it, but this year I waited until it was sleeping. You know, the dormant stage, and I dug it up with just enough roots, and I planted over the winter time, and amazingly it lived. So I guess when you dig things up, you have to wait until it's dormant, or else you're just going to kill it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a great advice. Do you have a question that kind of popped in here a minute ago from our viewer Darth X joining us here today? Question for pepper grafting: how do you get the graft to stick?
So I use the grafting tape, which is, it's just a normal grafting tape. It's self-adhesive. And so it's the same way as fruit tree. You just, there's different method of grafting. And I forgot what the method is called for peppers, but you basically just cut it and then slice it right down the middle. I forgot what that method is called, but that seems to work best for peppers because the stems is very soft. And so when you do a cut right in the middle and then you slice into a V shape and you just tuck it in and just tighten it up.
And what do you tighten it up with? Do you use string or some sort of tape or anything like that? How do you?
Grafting tape. I just use grafting tape because it's very soft and it sticks to itself, so you don't have to use anything else. And that's the easiest way. You can buy those on Amazon. Just self-adhesive grafting tape.
There you go. Right on.
And peppers are very easy, so you got to try it. It will take. I mean, it's so easy. I even crossed the different varieties. Like for example, the Thai pepper onto a Chinese variety, and it worked.
Yeah, but that's also fun with it if you're going to learn something like that, because if you're doing it on a fruit tree, it might take you 2 or 3 years to have a successful graft and to make sure that everything is working out. With peppers, it only takes a few weeks, and then you can continue the cycle and just learn from it. So I think it's a sped up way to learn how to do grafting.
And another thing is with trees, again we talk about offshoots. Some trees produce 100 offshoots like yearly. Use those to practice your grafting instead of just cutting it off. Just practice with those.
Yeah,
because you're gonna cut it off anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's how I learned to do pear grafting. I practice with those offshoots, and then if they're not successful, I cut them off. And you cut them off anyway, so might as well practice with it.
Yeah. And something also that you mentioned that should be done more. I haven't done it, but I really want to do it. I've been thinking about it several times, but never gotten around to it. Is doing air layering, where you just try to get roots from an already branch. And I could easily do that also on my citrus tree back here and do stuff like that. And I think that's probably one of the most fail-safe ways to get an offspring from a tree. So it should be done more when you have something that produces good fruits and everything. If you do that, it's just a clone and you will get exactly the same thing.
Absolutely. And figs are the easiest if you guys are interested.
Yeah.
Figs are the easiest to air layer. I mean, it takes like just a few weeks and you get roots.
You don't need
pears, it takes like a few months.
Yeah. But the figs, I see it in the greenhouse when the figs are just bowing down and touching the soil. It just takes a couple of days and it's full of roots. So
Oh, wow. So you could take figs and just kind of like probably bring them down, start up almost whole new trees in a way, right from the.
You can just
That's
cut off also
wow.
and just stick it in the soil and just lay it flat, put some soil over it, and it will just
Yeah.
start popping up new shoots everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
speaking of that, that is actually how the old traditional ways, how they grow figs to become so dense and so strong. What they do is they take a big, long stick of the twig and they
Yeah.
break it, right? And they break it, but not fully break it. They just break it, but the bark is still kind of is bented.
Yeah.
And then once they bent it multiple times, they put it into the soil and they bury it. And now all of those channels are linked together and the roots come out everywhere.
Yeah.
And so, all those roots are linked into one branch that link together. And now they have all these offshoot that grows out.
Yeah.
And so you get a really, really strong fig tree.
Hmm.
And they branch out like crazy. So you get a massive, production of fruits.
Yeah.
And a very, very strong root system that can take up, nutrients much more efficiently because, the
It's
roots
got all
are
them roots
everywhere.
from everywhere. Yeah.
And so that's how they used to grow figs for market production.
Because he really increased the production at that point, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then you would get
Jersey.
that really a fig bush more like. It would
Yeah. That's what I was kind of imagining with that.
Yeah.
Jersey Girl asks, what is air layering? How about one of you guys want to tackle that question right there? What is air layering?
The one with the experiments.
Okay, so air layering is, as what Chris mentioned earlier, you take a tree that has a mature branch already, and you root that tree in the air.
Yeah.
So that's what they call it, air layering. You basically take soil, you cut out the bark, and you wrap the soil around that bark, the cut out bark section, and then you keep the moisture in the soil for a few weeks or maybe a few months. And then the roots will sprout out of those sections, and then you cut off that branch, and now you have a mature tree. And so that's what they call air laying. It's like replicating the entire tree 100%. You get the
you're
exact
just
same fruit, the exact same
clopping
taste.
off a clone. It's not. It's a clone, I guess you would say, right?
Clone,
in a sense,
yes.
It's just basically the same tree, and those you can find even online little cup-like things that open up that you fill with soil and kind of close together around that opening you make on the tree. Or you can even do your own do it yourself kind of things. I've seen people do just kind of like plastic wrap of some sort, to kind of get soil bunched around that what you kind of, like you said, you're cutting the bark off basically about a couple of inches of say a branch or something, and then you're covering whatever's exposed with that soil, and you can kind of do that in a couple of different ways. But it's really interesting. That was going to be how I was going to try to get one of my first figs. Is I have a neighbor that lives across the street, and they have a big, huge fig tree that grows right out on their front yard area. There's kind of walk by the main street there, and they were just neighbors. I guess you would say that, everybody has them in the neighborhood, just the neighbor you don't really get along with, right? So it was like, I didn't really feel like going over there and asking them, can I air layer your fig tree, But so I ended up finally getting my own figs, as we showed earlier too, with the Chicago fig. And I have another little smaller one too that I got from the Fig Hunter last season. So those are growing really nice this year. And then but now since I've got those ones, they sold the house, and now I got a whole new neighbor, and they're really nice and everything. I could go over there and just air layer that one, I guess, right? And just do it for a video or something. That would be fun.
But air laying is a very important process in agriculture because there's a lot of trees that they bred to produce no seeds, and the only way you can grow them is to air lay, to replicate them. Like say, for example, there's this type of orange that I really love. They call it the sumo orange when they sell it in the stores. I think the proper name is Dokopond or something like Dekopond. Dekopond. It's a mandarin orange that produces no seeds. And if they produce no seeds, you can't grow it from the seed. And even if you grow from the seed,
that makes a lot of
may become
sense.
something else. And so what they do is they'll take these branches and they graft it onto a different variety. So air laying and grafting it plays a very important role in how they produce fruit trees to replicate it. And so air laying, the thing with air laying is it takes 100% whatever the parent is or was. So it takes all the features, all the if it's drought tolerant, it would be drought tolerant. If it's not, then it would be not. So that's why you have to sometimes you take a branch and you graft, because you're adding features to a weak tree. So let's say I graft a persimmon onto American rootstock. You get all this drought tolerant, disease tolerant, maybe a dwarf variety, maybe all those features would be applied to the graft that you put it on, on top.
Yeah, and I would say the one thing too, I think, is kind of like maybe the best benefit of it in doing that, though, really ultimately is you're saving that graft or that new tree that kind of, I don't know what it would be like, you're cutting it from its parent. If you're just cutting it to take a cutting and then you're putting it into something or whatever, maybe a shock, I'm not sure if you'd even call it that or whatever, but you're just assuring it's got the energy and everything to continue growing before you actually cut it from the main tree, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and also one of the most important things is that you also bring along the age. So the cutting will still be 10 years old if it's a 10-year-old tree. So that's why they do it with those cheap bushes that you buy at the store, the lemons and everything. The rootstock is only a year old or maybe 3 months old, but the rest of the plant might be 10 years old. So they just clip off and just reuse whatever is mature and producing fruits already.
Oh yeah, that makes sense too, right?
Yeah.
Right on. Anyways, what do you got going on there, Christopher, in your what do you got your grow room, or you're not really grow room, your office?
No, I don't have a grow room.
It's kind of a combo though, right? You got things growing in your office, right?
No, for tax purposes, this is not a combo.
There you go.
No, this is just
That's
my
good.
office, and I can't live without some greenery working around here. So that's why I keep a few things just to keep my sanity going. But I am I'm about to get ready with the new grow room. So there will be a grow room which is a little bit bigger than the last one, and it's going to be a little bit taller than the last one. So I was thinking about last time we spoke about a month ago. I was talking about building behind the garage here. That's still in the works, but that's a 1 to 2 year plan. So it's gonna be something that's not gonna help me at the moment. So I'm gonna need a solution right now because I have no grow room and I don't want to go into an autumn again or a winter without having a grow room. I've had it. I haven't had a grow room now this full winter, and it's driving me insane. I need to go back to growing my bananas, and I need some more coffee.
Yes.
I need all my. I have so many hydroponic projects that I already invested the tanks for, and the piping and the pumps and the whatever. So I really need to just get back into the space. So I was begging on my knees to my wife that I was going to take one of our warm garages, and she's perfect. So I'm allowed
Awesome.
to take that space, and I'm gonna rebuild it now, and I'm gonna redo the floors. It's a garage, so the nice thing is that it has those big drainage spaces where you can just hose water down into and everything. So what I'm gonna do, it's a concrete floor. I'm gonna just flatten it out a little bit with some floating cement, or what's it called, and then I'm gonna do a layer of epoxy on the floor, so it's gonna be really slick and easy to do all sorts of water experiments, and then it's just gonna fire off from there. So I'm guessing right after summer it's gonna be a rebirth of the grow room, and I'm just gonna plow out videos about it because
I know, I'm excited about that.
I am so excited. I thought I had the grow room and it was fun, but that's something I could live without. But it turns out that's not the case. I really need some sort of project that's healthy like that to just keep me going, because sitting in the office and just programming all day long, it drives you insane. You gotta have some sort of jungle to go into and have
something to divert the attention right there, and get kind of get you back to where you need to be, so you can get that done more properly. Exactly. So, and that's one of the things too that's so great about what, and I encourage anybody to as well too. There's links to Khang and Christopher's channels in the description down below too. Go check out Christopher's channel and check out some of those older videos he does with some of the things he grows. I'm telling you, you grow like that coffee tree was just so amazing. The bananas, the thing, it's just having to kind of do a lot of indoor growing in Norway too, is it just, you've come up with some of these really awesome, fascinating experiments and projects over the years.
Yeah, and you kind of have to be creative. You need to find new solutions for problems that people wouldn't necessarily think of as problems, or something that needs a solution. But
creating some of your own problems, I suppose too.
Create the problem first and then try to solve it. That's kind of what I'm doing here. And
Chris, I really love the coffee tree in hydroponic, because it was such an amazing a tree, and it looks great. And then you have like, how many beans did you have?
No, not too many. It was expensive coffee, to say at least.
It was like so worth it, wasn't it? It's like,
you
got the beans, you made the coffee, and it was like, yeah.
There's two things that I've grown over the years that have been very successful. One is the bananas that I always end up with what I was hoping for in the start. They turn out great indoors. Bananas growing indoors, if you have enough sunlight or enough direct grow light, then you can do whatever you want with the bananas. They are amazing. And the other thing is, of course, coffee. I've grown 2 coffee trees to the exact same size,
so great.
and they have both produced fruits for me, and I even picked beans and sprouted the beans, so I got coffee seedlings from it. And
you didn't roast them though, huh?
Yeah, but it wasn't enough for one single cup of coffee, so I figured I'll just plant them. The thing is that
I think you're the first one that I ever known to grow a coffee tree inside in hydroponic. I've never seen it before.
It's a stupid project because it takes so much time and so much space, but it's so rewarding once you get there. And the coffee tree is one of the most beautiful trees when you have those glistening leaves running all over, and it is such a forgiving plant also. But I really wanted to be able to grow it. Now I'm going to have a little bit more size or a little bit more space. It's the room that I'm building in now is about 400 square feet. I was looking that up before we went online, so I could have some numbers that you understand.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Thanks for doing the conversion, man. Us Americans need that.
Yeah. We do need that. Like Celsius, Fahrenheit.
I'm going to feed it with a spoon here. No, but it's going to be a little bit bigger than I'm used to, so I'm going to be able to do this kind of project with a little bit more room. And that's needed, because when you get into those huge banana trees or plants and you get into the big coffee, it's not much more you can do with the space, because it takes up everything. So to keep the motivation going, you need to have space to do all those small projects also, and not focus only on those big ones. But the coffee, the thing that I want to do, because the coffee that the ones that I've grown have grown from seed to coffee beans within just 1 year, and it takes once it sets fruit, it takes 7, 8, 9 months before they ripen. It takes forever. So it almost doubles the lifetime of the plant just by ripening the fruits.
Yeah.
But the thing that I really wanted to see was, once I harvest those, what's the next flush going to be? Because that's going to be 300 beans or 500 beans or something instead of 5 beans or 10 beans. So it's that second flush that I really want to get into, and but it's a multiple year project. So but we're getting there. We're
getting close to getting started, right?
Ever getting closer. So we've proven that it's possible.
Publish a paper on this, Chris, because I don't think anybody done it, so they'll probably be interested.
You should definitely keep some good notes, definitely.
Yeah, but it's strange.
Someone would be interested.
Because I've been doing all these crazy projects, and I've only been contacted by people that think it's fun and they want to get tips on growing this and that and stuff like that. But on the coffee, I've been getting several inquiries from people that are working professionally on coffee, and people from Egypt and people from all around the world that are growing in areas where coffee really don't grow outside, but are really interested in learning techniques for doing this at a large scale indoors. So it's there is something there about doing
that and all that little tech that you have that keeps it alive and everything to fill up. I'm telling you, man, you might have something there.
Yeah, but it's
you might have
probably
going
to be something about the future, about growing things where they can't grow. Because as we've experienced, Khang, just the last 10 years, seen the evolution of the grow lights. We started out with those old bulbs, and we ended up now with grow lights that are more powerful than the sun, and it's just insane, the technology. So that brings a lot of possibilities for doing things at a larger scale and more efficient than before. So it's interesting.
I mean, we talked about this over the years, Chris, all the time. I mean, believe it or not, hydroponic is the future. I mean, now that we're running out of places to grow farm and to produce the mass amount of foods that people need, you might have to do like urban, like in the city.
And not only that, there's tons of like space programs now all over in countries. I mean, there's a couple of countries that are heading to the moon. One just landed a lander going there, so there's a lot of countries with interest in that sort of thing. And food's gonna have to be grown hydroponically, and they're gonna have to find out those types of systems and things in order to do so. And see, I popped this up here, but I didn't realize there was actually a question attached to it. But because you were mentioning bananas here, Grow at Alaska says, I have a banana tree in a solo cup. It's been in it for a year. It has many pups. The stem on the main is half on the side of the cup. Says, I want to pot it up. Any advice, Chris?
Yeah, I in my experience, the bananas can really handle a large uppotting. So you need to first decide on what size you want the plant to be in the end. If you want it to grow like a large banana plant indoors, you can size it up to a decent sized pot almost straight away. It should be able to take it. Bananas are very forgiving with the watering. It's really not a problem. But what I would do is separate all the pups away, or throw them away, or just separate them out into separate cups and just continue growing them, because when it sets pups at such a young age, then it really stunts the growth of the parent. It's going to be very slow going, and you're just going to keep it that way for as long as you want to. In fact, so I would get rid of those pups if your desire is to keep it going a little bit bigger. But then if you don't want it going too big, you can have it in a cup like this, and it will stay a decent sized banana like this. But if you really want it to take off, you can just put it into something like this. The bananas I had was about this size, so about 15 centimeters or something, when I put it into a container like this. So it looked so stupid in the first month or two, but it really just took off, and it took only a year for it to reach the ceiling height. So you just need to decide on the size. But the banana really stops growing if it gets too many pups and if it's too small of a container. So yeah, that's just a decision.
All right. And then we had a question a minute ago for Khang. Serena asks, what is Khang's newest pepper cross?
The
We know that
newest
you like
cross.
experimenting and crossing peppers and all of that. What's your newest one?
Serena, the newest one I'm working on right now is actually suggested by someone in the pepper lovers community, because I have two varieties called the Sriracha Hornet, the Khang Starr, and then there's another variety that I really love. It's called the Death Spiral, and I grow it for a few times. And so somebody suggested, like, hey, why don't you cross those two and call it the Death Star? I was like, wow, Chris and I are going to love this, because we're Star Wars,
Yes. Me too. I'm telling you,
Fourth
it was the thing. Yesterday was May the 4th be with you. In fact,
exactly. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to tell Chris about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to grow that.
So that's my newest one. That it has.
We're gonna have to, we're gonna have to get together and do something separately and do like a Star Wars discussion sometime between the three, because I'm a big fan too. Most people can't see it, but behind my head is my like Star Wars shelf, all my books, and I've read all of the old canon books and just all that. I love Star Wars.
Did you see my Halloween Kylo Ren trick or treat with peppers on it?
No, I didn't see that.
I gotta send it to you guys.
That's great. So the Death Star is your newest pepper variety, huh?
I love the name right away, and I was like, I have to do this.
So like when you do that and you make a cross like that, how long until you got seeds that you can start trading people?
So that's the cool thing about peppers. When you cross it, peppers takes about 4 or 5 months to get full maturity, flowers and pollen and everything. So it takes 5 months to get the plant to around the stage where you can cross-pollinate. And then once they successfully took, it takes another 4 or 5 weeks to get the seeds out of it, because that's how long it takes to ripen up. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Some peppers are stubborn, like the Sugar Rush, which took forever to ripen. And then once we grow the seed, it'll be another 4 to 5 months to get the first generation. So like in a matter of a year, you can probably get, the first generation. But because Chris and I are hydroponic nerds, we speed things up, through hydroponic, because indoors there's no season. You can grow whenever you want. The peppers grow much faster. So in a matter of about 3 months, I can get a new plant. And then a few more weeks, I get another generation, and I'll start the cycle again. And then, you get the second generation. So maybe 2 or 3 generations in about a year or so.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's good. And then you get enough, like if you were to do, I think that's just the coolest thing.
If you grow them like
people
this,
are gonna love that and get those seeds out there like crazy.
If you grow them this small, then they grow very fast. They produce. A lot of people think like when you grow a small plant, they don't produce large fruit. They do produce normal size fruit. You see, these are normal size. And so this is the Lingria. This is one of my.
So they don't produce little mini fruits.
No, they produce normal size.
Yeah.
And,
I think that's one of the things I always love too about
you got to pick them off.
Grow it. I love how you'll grow things in anything. What is that you're growing it in?
This is my kids. They love yogurt. So this is Marshall from Paw Patrol is my kid's favorite character.
I love it.
So I was like, he has a lot of this. So I was like, why don't I just recycle this and use it?
Yep.
And,
what's the drip system you're using there?
There's no drip system. I have a little straw right here. You see this straw?
To get it down there.
Because I grow it in the MTN station. The one you gifted me.
Yeah.
And so I cannot make it dirty. So there's no holes.
But how many times?
So these things dries out really fast.
Yeah, because that's what I'm getting at.
And so when I go out of town, I overfill it and I put it inside a Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea, because
I always hold on to that moisture.
Yeah, I've been doing those pepper can challenges and all those kind of things, and it's really fun as long as you're staying at home and everything is okay. But if you're going away for 2 days, then everything is gone. So
so if you go out of town for a few days, just get a big Ziploc bag and just overfill it a little bit. And put it inside a bag and close it. So the moisture just recycles, and the plant will stay alive for 2 weeks.
Wow, that's interesting.
Wickershire Project here says, "Dear God, what soil is that Yogo container?" And so then he asks here in just a moment. He's like, "Soilless medium." So yeah, it's a what kind of little what would you call that? Like a little
It's kind of like a
cracky type
hybrid
thing or
system.
something? Yeah.
Oh, so here's another one that I got to show you guys since we're talking about hybrid system. So this is my lettuce. And so we buy a lot of soup, and they always give us containers like this. And so
Yeah.
you can take the top container, which is a small container. This is this is like a net pot.
Yeah.
And then you put this in here, and that's your reservoir right here.
Wow.
Right. What is
So
that?
the
What's that
soup container.
container?
So this is how I grow my. So here's my
Oh
reservoir right
yeah.
here. And so the
That's
Wow.
a
nutrients
great
you can have in
idea.
there, and then that's my system.
What's the medium you're using?
You can use soil, just regular soil, doesn't matter, or you
Yeah.
can use peat moss.
Hydroton.
Peat
Yeah,
moss,
those little
hydrogen,
clay.
yeah, that works too.
Yeah, the little clay
Yeah,
balls.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
So you
great.
can
That's awesome.
basically use anything to do hydroponic. It doesn't have to
Shoot.
be very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I
Here's a
actually have
question
a
here, real quick. Jersey girl, sorry, Chris. Just real quick here was asking, and this I'll kind of rephrase the question in a sense here. If you plant these peppers in living soil, how much different would they taste? So I rephrase the question is there a difference in taste that you get between growing something in soil versus hydroponics?
So I have really tested this a lot over
Yeah.
the years. And so if you watch my soil versus hydroponic taste test video, I've done a few. So in hydroponic, amazingly, you can actually tune the nutrients for flavor.
Yeah.
And so you can control it because they have the micronutrients, the macronutrients,
Yeah.
whatever the plants need, you can actually tune it.
You
And
just
then
got to kind of figure out what
yeah,
those nutrients kind of
yeah,
heighten out of the plant,
yeah.
basically.
At different stages, you feed the plants
Yeah.
differently. But for me, when I grow peppers, even without tuning it, my hydroponic peppers taste way hotter than the regular soil. So I sent out, peppers to my other friends too. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, do a blind test. Because if I tell them which one's soil, they're like, oh, of course the soil is gonna, take it. But then when they do the blind test, the hydroponic has very similar flavor, but the spiciness is up to the next level. So it's much, much spicier. So if you want to grow spicy peppers that beat the world record, do it in
Yeah.
hydroponic.
Really? Yeah, that's the way to
Yeah,
go, huh?
you can force the peppers to be hotter.
Yeah, but it all makes sense, I think, because in
Yeah.
hydroponics you will always have the perfect watering system. So you can really make sure that the plant always have everything it needs. And that's also the reason why I think you can grow things in hydroponics so much faster than in soil. If I use soil indoors, I've done the experiment of growing hydroponic and growing soil at the same time and see the difference. And it's weeks difference after just a couple of months. So I think that growing in hydroponic is also just giving the plant everything it needs every time, every single day.
Yeah, you
So
can just really tune it in, like you're saying,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I think back years ago, hydroponics was very difficult because people didn't understand it enough. And so
Yeah.
as I started to grow in hydroponic over the probably 10 years now, I start to see that plants are very adaptable.
yeah.
They will change according to the conditions. So you don't have to change
That's
the
true.
condition for them. You just create a good environment, and then they'll change according to what they can get. And
Mhm.
so, like I don't check pH anymore, and people think I'm crazy. And my faucet water is around 8 pH 8 or something like that. And if I add the nutrients, it may drop it down a little bit. But I grow peppers and I grow tomatoes and I grow cucumbers and all the vegetables and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they'll just grow. They'll just change according to the whatever they can get. I mean, is it optimal? Probably not. But the plants would do well. especially if you just grown vegetable. If you just grown leafy greens, you don't have to mess with that much. Just mix it according to, the instructions label. You don't even have to check pH. It'll just grow. And our friend Matt Garver, right? The hydroponic friend of ours. He and I are the same page. We no longer do pHing. It's like we just grow the plants, and they adapt.
Yeah, but it's funny you should mention that, because I've to this day I've never tested pH. And
There's another one right here.
Yeah, I've never done it. From the very first beginning, when you hoaxed me into doing this type of growing, I said to myself that if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it the way that I would enjoy doing it. Otherwise, it's just going to be, because that kind of science takes away from what I want to do, which is grow things and try to understand the plant as it goes, and not have some sort of formula displaying it to me. And also with the nutrients, I use I don't know what it's called, but it's a nutrient that you recommended several years ago. That was a 3-component. It's green and it's
the Flora series. Yeah, the Flora series.
Yeah, the Flora series. Yeah, it has one brown and one green and one purple or pink, I think.
Yeah.
And the only recipe I've used for that is the generic. It says that if you don't want to do that or do that or do that specifically, you can use equal amounts of everything. And I've never changed that. Never, ever. The only thing that I have changed is that if the plant gets really tall, like the coffee tree, I double the amount of nutrients, just because I see that the plant can just take it. So I try to stretch it as far as what the plant can handle. If you start with a small seedling, you back down a little bit on the nutrients, but I never changed the mixture. And I'm not unhappy with the results I'm getting. I don't
what
see
you're basically saying is that it's really not that difficult.
Not really.
It isn't.
Not at all.
The more difficult you make it, the more is the chance that you will fail, I think, because it really is simple. And if you're trying to balance the pH and you go a notch over and notch under, and you're trying to combat that every time, I think you're just going to make a mess of the water. So just keep it simple, stupid. I think that's the only method, at least for me. I'm too dumb to do those type of in-depth things.
I lost my pH meter, or it broke years ago, and ever since then I was like, you know what, I'm just not going to do it anymore. Because it worked just fine. So there's, I think what people should do is just get in there and try it. And you'll be amazed at
that's what I got to do. That's what I was telling you before the show, is we were talking about hydroponics, and I don't necessarily have the experience. Again, it comes down to that thing. I got so many other projects going on. To add a hydroponic systems in just adds to a lot of the stuff, but it's something I'm constantly interested in, and I really want to get in and do something of some sort, especially now too. I got my grow tent that we can't see off camera here, just right here on the other side. I got it all cleared out finally, so I'm gonna get some new lights in. I'm thinking about trying to set up a nice little indoor hydroponics type of thing going on inside of there. So again, too, I've been slowly working towards a project, but it's good to know that it really isn't that complicated. So when I do get down to it, it'll be nice and easy to do. I do have a question real quick here. Jersey Girl dropped in there saying, are the nutrients being fed considered chemical?
Yes, I think they're not organic. If that's really concerned. They're not organic, and so I think they're pretty much chemical. But
and the thing I want to say about real quick too is I do want to say about that though is that in organic gardening, one of the things why we're not using some of those things that like the Miracle Grow or those sort of things that people would consider chemical or not organic is because we're trying to create soil life. And in the soil, we're trying to build life, nematodes, fungi. We want organic matter. We got all these sort of things to create this living life system. But we don't need a living life system in a hydroponic system.
No.
So I don't think those sort of things are as bit of a concern, because we're not, we're not trying to actually, feed life in a sense, as far as those little things that are really required in that sort of system with soil,
but
right?
it's the same thing. You're giving the plant the same thing as it gets in
Mhm.
soil, but it's not getting it directly from the nutrients. It's getting it from the soil. So
Yeah.
the worms and everything is making the chemicals that we are using in the plants to grow, because it's just the same things. It's the same building blocks. It's just, as you say, that you want to keep the soil alive. And I try everything I can to avoid using. I've grown plants in soil using hydroponic solution, and it
Mhm.
grows like crazy. It grows fast, everything. But in the end, you end up with a crusty soil that's lacking of everything, and it works perfect for a while, and then you kind of just have to. It's quick and dirty fix that you kind of have to pay for in the long run. So if you're growing in soil, then you should use organic material. But hydroponically, it's the same thing. It's just in a pill form.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't necessarily. I'll use. I've got plants that I find work better just in a cup of water, and I'll use some of that. Not organic and not organic, a little kind of crumbly stuff, and I'll drop some of that stuff in there just to give it a little bit of extra nutrients, instead of just water. So when it comes down to it, it's again, we're trying to build life in soil, so we don't want to like be putting those sort of things, really heavy salts and just things that just aren't inducive of life, in them. But when we're doing water, at least from my viewpoint, that's not necessary and not something you have to worry about. So plants are going to thrive by you tuning in and adding some of those certain things that you guys have already really kind of described.
Yeah. One of the most amazing things about hydroponic for me is it taught me a lot about how to grow things in soil, because I experiment in hydroponic. I know how plants react, and I use that in my soil gardening, and it worked really, really well. So you can learn so much from experimenting with hydroponic. Like Chris was talking about how his coffee loves water, and so when you grow coffee, then you can realize that they do like some water more than some of the other trees maybe.
Yeah.
But everything I've grown in hydroponics has taken well to it. I've grown so many different things that people say you really shouldn't, because they need to dry out and they need this and that. But nah, as you say, all plants are so adaptable. And I think that one of the things that I discovered with growing hydroponically is, as you said, that you know more about growing in soil afterwards, because I've been so afraid of overwatering and in my soil growing. So I thought that growing directly in water shouldn't be possible. But the thing is that if you add air to the water, then you can grow everything, because air is really the problem. The roots are suffocating in soil when you overwater. It's not because it's too much water. It's just a lack of air. So that's the balance. If you have well draining soil and you do all those types of things, then overwatering isn't the big issue if you really get into that. But it would be really fun to see a project where you grow, for instance, a large pot like the banana or something that's more sensitive, and you put an air stone in the soil, and you see if that makes a difference when you do overwatering. I think that's something that's worth trying, because it's really the lack of air that's the problem, I think.
Yeah, maybe you can start making like little air stone pots where they already built in, and you just kind of plug a little thing right into the side of them, just in case. I don't know.
But
might be just easier not to overwater, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
At least for the soil ones.
When you do things like that, so like it goes back to the cracky system, right? So when there's no air available, the plants develop water roots. And so as the nutrient dries up, the plants develop air roots and then water roots. So that so they adapt very, very well.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the topics that may need to be discussed when it comes to hydroponic. Like it's simpler than it should be, you know.
Yeah.
And so encourage people to do it because it can teach you a lot about other things, but also plants will adapt. They will grow and adapt to the conditions that you give it.
But that's the problem that you're facing when you're doing soil grown in a pot, because as you say in the Kratky, that would kind of go against what I was saying about you just needing air. But the problem with regular pots is that it's fluctuation. You get water, you get overwater, you get drying out, everything. So the changing in the roots is really going to be good for something, but really bad for something else. And in the Kratky method, you as you say, I think I might be rephrasing you wrong, but when you do a closed system like that, you're doing it, and it's fire and forget. You're doing it this way, and that's the way it's gonna go down. So if you get those type of air roots, because you see that on peppers, you see that on everything, they really get air roots. But if you backfill again a Kratky system like that, would that be a problem for those roots?
Yes, if you backfill above the certain amount, it'll kill those air roots, and then now you suffocate the plants. But right, I think Chris is right to your point. They do like change, but it cannot be constant change. It has an adapting period because you know, when in the Kratky system, when the level of water it dropped gradually in a time period, right? And so it gives the plant times to adjust. Whereas in a pot, you fill, and then the next day is dry, and then you fill, the next day is dry. That constant change cannot be adapted so quickly, so the plants would just struggle. So it needs.
That's also what you. But that's
gradual change versus sudden change.
Yeah. But as you see in nature, you have the rain periods, or So you get a vast majority of the time it's drying out, slowly drying out, and the plants are adapting. And once the water sets in, then everything kind of just resets and changes. And that's also the life cycle of the coffee. And that's why so many people told me that you wouldn't be able to do that with coffee in the long run, because they are so used to having the drying out period. So but as you say, as long as you give the plant time to adjust, and not having to adjust 2 times a week because you're overwatering and you're frying it out and trying to dry out the soil, and that's what's confusing the plants. So but I have just going back to the peppers, I have a fun cross this year. I've been doing something, and it's the first time that my seeds are many years old, and I've never been successful at growing it out. I've had so much problem. I had quite a few seeds, but they never really took. And I've crossed Sugar Rush Peach with the Shishito, which are a Baccatum and an Annuum. And I've never done that successfully before with success. And now it's finally taking off, and it's starting to produce fruits now in the greenhouse. So I'm really excited to see what that's going to be. And it's really weird because it grows like a Baccatum. It has the Baccatum leaves and the Baccatum flowers, but the shape is all Shishito. They have those the same ends on the peppers. And it's so interesting. So I'm looking forward to the most worst tasting pepper ever.
Now the flavor is the next question, right?
Yeah.
And then after that will those seeds produce the same?
Yeah, probably not for a few cycles. I'm not sure I can even grow it out again. It's I think you know more about this, Khang, but the Baccatum and the Annuum isn't supposed to be a good cross. It's a little bit finicky, I think.
There's a chart that I go with. There's a chili crossing chart that I usually go with, and some there's on the chart it says you cannot cross a Chinense with an Annuum, and I did it. It worked. But it's not easy. I think it created a lot of non-viable seeds, and I probably collected about a few hundred seeds to get one plant to grow. So I think what Chris is going through is what I went through with the Scotch bonnet crossed with a Thai pepper. And it finally became successful. and it
Yeah.
tastes totally different than what you would imagine. I mean, it's just way hotter, and it grows really
Right.
funny, and it
Yeah.
looks just like an annuum, but it produces fruits that are just like a chinense that gets soft when it gets hard, ripe. But
Yeah.
the heat is just ridiculous, and it's really fun to grow. And again,
Yeah.
most of the
So
seeds
it's just
are
that it's not
non-GMO.
possible. It's that it's just hard to do. Yeah.
Well, there's two ways you can cross, one to the other and the other to the other.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, yeah.
sometimes it works. It won't work one way, but it works the other way.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I've never really tried crossing any of mine. The only ones I've had are those natural outdoor crosses that happen
Yeah.
because I'll have fruits that'll leave seeds behind on my plants and get the volunteers that pop up the next year, and it's just like, I got to try it. I got to see what happens. I got to see what what does it grow into, because you just never know. And I remember I tried one that looked just really weird. It looked like nothing I'd ever tried growing before, and it was nice and hot. That's for sure. It was nice and hot. It wasn't very, very hot, but it was nice and hot.
But I'm just curious. I have a question to you guys that eat a lot of chilies. Mostly Khang, I guess.
Yeah. Not the hot chilies. I love a lot of different varieties of sweet peppers, but I'll try a hot one here and there if they're not too hot.
But
Get up above a habanero and I'm done.
Yeah. No, but that's part of the question, because I've found these strange things over the years. I've been growing a lot of peppers and I've been eating a lot of peppers, always been scared of the hot ones, but I've found myself figuring out what I can handle and what I can't handle, what my body likes and what it doesn't like at all. And the thing is that annuums are the ones that are killing me, to be honest. I really have a hard time eating hot annuums. So it doesn't require more than a really good jalapeno or a cayenne pepper or something like that. It destroys my stomach, and I get stomach ache and really have problems with it. But habaneros, I eat that almost every single day, and it has another type of burn. It burns in another way. And also, I got some hot sauce from a company here in Norway, and they have a Trinidad Scorpion sauce. And I've been eating Trinidad Scorpions before, and also you sent me some Reaper flakes a few years ago, and I've been eating that, and I don't have a trouble at all. It burns another way. It burns harder. You kind
I
of
always hear about that.
Yeah,
the
it's
hotter
it's,
stuff.
yeah, it's a stronger burn, but it doesn't break my body, and I find it so strange, because those are the ones that are supposed to be killing me, and not the annuums. But the annuums is the ones that I have really hard time eating. Does it make sense?
I heard a lot of people mention that, Chris, and I think it is true, because for me, annuum hurts. The bite is much different. It burns much different.
Yeah.
The chinense burn, sometimes, I mean, most people know that I can't handle much more than a habanero. That's just too much.
I mean, either.
But the chinense varieties, when you eat them, they have this nice sweet fruitiness, and then it kicks so hard, but then it goes away quick, and then you want more, right?
Yeah.
And then for the annuum, one time we were doing just like fun, because I harvested a bunch of Thai chilies in the kitchen, and I had friends over, and they saw a basket of it, and of course the guys just get a little nuts. They're like, "Hey, why don't we just do a challenge and eat a pepper?" Whole. And for some reason, I picked one of the annuum that day, and I ate it, and I thought I was gonna die, because why is it some peppers are so much hotter than the other? It's just like a random thing.
Yeah, but it's so strange.
It makes,
and also, the stomach doesn't like it also. It hurts all the way through, to say at least. But the chinense doesn't.
It's odd. I don't understand that part either.
There's got to be something in the makeup of the oils or something, and those differences that they might have, that those oils just affect things a little bit different than those other ones.
Yeah, and I was also reading about this a few years ago,
which makes up that genetic difference, though, right?
Yeah, and there was some paper on on how people react different to the different types of capsaicin. So one body can tolerate one part of it and another can't. So it's different. Some bodies take chinensis better and some take annuums better, and some people can eat jalapenos and cayennes and everything and they don't feel anything, and I'm dying out here. But I can take the habaneros and they can't. So it's a strange things. And when we were in Thailand last year, we were in Thailand and they used the Thai peppers and they used them whole and they used 50 of them in the same dish. I was there in 40 degrees Celsius, 100 Fahrenheit. I was sweating like a pig and I was eating those, chowing down on those peppers. And I was, it was horrible, but it was so good.
When in Thailand, right?
Yeah, when in Thailand.
Yeah, Thailand is known for their spice. They love the Thai spice.
Yeah.
And when they do fried rice, the spicy one, basically they throw a bunch of Thai peppers in there.
Yeah, it's peppers with rice.
Yeah.
Peppers with rice.
So
It's the first ingredient.
We want rice with this.
Yeah. I don't like rice. I'll eat the peppers.
That's right. That's right. Let's see here. Bowtie Garden, Life in the Garden was mentioned earlier. This sounds pretty complex, crossing and all. Really, how just real quick, go through what is the process of what do you do to cross real quick?
It's actually a lot.
You really think it's complex
once you start doing it. So the crossing process is you take two varieties that you like.
Yeah.
Normally they're the same family. For example, like a Thai pepper with another Thai pepper or some other variety in the annuum family. Or if you take a Reaper and you want to cross it with another chinense variety in the same family, those give you the best success. And all you do is when the flowers, they bulge up, they kind of swell up a little bit before they open, you take the pollen and then you pollinate that flower. And the reason you pollinate unopened flower is so that you can guarantee that you did that. Because once it's open, the bees might have already done it.
Right.
And so to 100% guarantee that you did do the pollination on your own, you use the flower that is about to open but not yet open. And then you take pollen from another variety, then you pollinate that flower.
And you're covering them up. We were talking to someone yesterday, Destin from Texas Garden Guy yesterday was showing us these little mesh bags, which you could possibly use to kind of make sure you're isolating them off too as well, right?
Yes. So once you successfully pollinate the flower, you kind of want to protect it a little bit, just in case something else land on it and all that.
Yeah.
But once it's pollinated, it should be good to go. But then, people just like to be extra careful.
Yeah. Until the flower dies off of the fruit, right? Then it's pollen, or the flower dies off, then it's pollinated at that point, right? Yeah.
This is where the indoor growing also comes in really handy, where you don't have the problem with the pollinators. You can very easily control the whole process.
Yeah. Serena was asking too. I think you already kind of answered this one though too. I wonder if Khang is going to try Pepper X.
I'm probably too scared to try it. I'll probably take a small piece. If it's ever available, I would try it. But again, I'm probably one of the pepper guys that are afraid of peppers.
Yes, exactly. I know, actually, and that's kind of funny. I did a weekend for the show when was it, the end of last month or the month before? The first we did a pepper weekend, kind of super hot weekend, where we had Johnny Scoville on for the Saturday show, and he talked all about eating peppers and all that sort of stuff. And then on the Sunday show, we had Ed Curry on talking about the Pepper X as well too. So and that's the thing is I love growing peppers, and something I talked with Johnny Scoville about too is that I love growing peppers. I love growing the hot peppers. I just love the plants. I love their personalities these plants have. They all have different characteristics that are really kind of cool in each individual varieties. And as new varieties come on, like say the Death Star, or these other ones you're making, Chris, are it's cool. You got all these new ones, and they're so fun to play around with in a sense too. So I really enjoy all of that when it comes to peppers. But we were talking about what it is to be a chili head. And I was like, I've never really thought of myself as a chili head, because he was explaining that a chili head is just a person who loves peppers, growing peppers, if you like pepperhead, eating them or whatever. So, I was like, I've never really thought of or considered myself a chili head until today, because I've always thought, you have to be able to eat the hot ones, right? And I don't do that. Not me.
Me neither.
Right on, guys. Let's see here. I did have one question. I want to go back to there was a question a while ago. I wanted to John Jude was on just a little while back ago, after we were talking. I want to get back to for grafting apple, when is a best time?
The best time to graft,
Yeah,
probably all the trees,
yes, in general,
is when they are about to open up. They already starting to wake up. So it's usually in my area, it's around February to March.
yeah,
they're waking up, because we get warmer climate. So sometimes they wake up early, and then all of a sudden the cold snap comes and kill all the flowers, which is bad. And so before they wake up, because the juices of the trees are starting to flow, and then you get the best success. So depending on where you are, it could be a little later if you're up north, but if you're in the south, right before the bud, you can see that it starts to swell. Right before that stage is the best.
Right on, yeah. Okay, right on, guys. Well, you know what? We've been talking for a while, just going on and on. What a great fun conversation today, guys. Awesome. Real quick though, let's kind of talk about just some things that you got going on. I want to remind everybody that links are right down in the description below to both Khang's channel and Christopher's channel. And how about you, Christopher? I mean, I know we kind of touched on it a little bit. You're getting the grow room going, and maybe do some more videos coming up and take us along with all that, right?
Sure. The indoor grow room is going to be relaunched this autumn. I'm confident with that now, and that's going to bring a lot more joy to the game for my sake. It's going to be easier to make videos more rapidly, because there's more things to do videos about. And the outdoor garden is doing really well this year. I just I don't know what's it called. I use bark mulching, or what is it called? Just the pathways in the outdoor greenhouse. So I'm slowly getting it to look nicer. The plants are growing in. We are very soon going away from night frost. So I use some supplementary heating now if it's really cold in the nighttime. But for most part now, it's looking a-okay for the season. And the plants are growing in, tomatoes and cucumbers and the peppers. I have so many peppers, and I have some interesting ones from Matt's peppers. He has some strange crosses with some strange colors and everything. So there's so many things going on now, and I'm programming every other day now. I'm programming on the new automatic system for the greenhouse, the temperature sensors, the controls of everything. So there's so much things that are really going to be documented now going forward. So I'm just looking for some spare time, and I have at least a couple of videos now that I'm thinking about shooting. So it's going to be much more now in the future, coming weeks.
Yeah, really, really looking forward to that. It's always really awesome. As I mentioned earlier to everybody, just go check out his channel and go check out some of the older videos too. I'm telling you, you can go back into his catalog, and there is.
It's a nice way to say that I'm uploading too seldom.
Yeah, but it's also, I think you do so many interesting things. I don't think there's a lack of really fascinating things that people can find, not find in your catalog that you have of videos that are out already too, because again, like I said, you do so many really cool, awesome things, and just some of the to me, I find it like the coffee plant we talked about. These huge, healthy things that you're able to grow indoors, you know, up there in the climate that you live in and everything. I just think there's just so much cool things that are going on your channel. So I hope everybody go checks that out.
Yeah, definitely checked Chris's channel out. He built a unit like an air garden, but we call it the MTN station. So Chris sent me one of those. It's still working.
I'm still waiting for mine, Chris.
I did get the new printer now, so there's
good. You got. I was gonna say you got to get the printer started up.
There's stuff's in the works.
I'm still using it to grow all kinds of plants. I grew an apple tree on it, but then of course it just ran out of space.
Yeah.
I grew all kinds of vegetable in there, and there's a video on my channel showing how the system worked. And Chris has one also that he's grown this crazy pepper that keeps, you know, exploding. You have to trim it back every few weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, the MTN station, guys, check that out. It's very, very interesting. And Chris built that from scratch.
And it's actually still working. That's the strange thing. I wasn't expecting it to last for years, but it's actually doing quite well.
It's been years. Yeah, it's still working, and it's sitting right there.
That sounds like almost everything we send out into space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All these satellites, all this stuff, like, oh, we got we expect it 1 or 2 years. You know what I mean? We'll get some from it. What is one of the satellites is all the way out past the solar system now, you know, feeding back information decades later.
That's a rare thing.
Decades later, that station's gonna be still pumping out things.
That's a rare thing coming from developers. So
yeah, exactly. And you too, Khang, man, I'm telling you, your channel's not you know, you got tons of awesome things you're doing too, and especially even in your back catalog of all the fun things as we talked about too, and you were showing that little thing you're growing in. I mean, I think it's really cool and fascinating how you just find all this indoor cool fun ways of growing all sorts of different stuff, you know, from way back in the day doing microgreens to all the pepper crosses today, and now you're sharing with us, as we touched on a little bit too, all of these really cool, fascinating grafting things with trees and everything on this other property, right?
And also,
so now,
sorry.
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's just I also want to plug our channel, because if people want to see how to do things from A to Z, that's where to go. Because for my sake, I've always been making videos just I'm gonna do something and see how it works, and maybe not get back to it ever again. But you are doing things that are so much more interesting in the way that you are starting something and you're following up over a period of time. It has to be you have to have so many videos going on at the same time, I guess, because there is so many projects that you see from start to finish. And props to that. It's so interesting, because if you really want to see how to do grafting, how to do if you want to cross-pollinate, or if you want to grow microgreens, or you want to do all those types of things, you can see the start and the middle and the end. You would see how it actually works. There's too much videos out there of people knowing everything and starting something but never getting back to it. That's what I do. So
yeah, me in some ways too, I try to kind of have a follow along, but I'll skip stuff, and you know, I'll try to update people as best I can with certain things. But I think that's really awesome. You are really good at that, Khang, and making sure that you're really educating people and showing people the whole process. There's nothing like watching something or seeing something and then not really getting to see what the actual results are, and that's what people really get from your channel.
And I think all that goes to when I first started making videos, I was researching on certain topics. And every topic that I looked for, they just say, okay, here's how you do it. And I looked for follow-up videos. Where is it? What happened? I want to know, because I kind of don't want to make mistakes along the way. And so I couldn't find videos like that. I was like, you know what? It would be helpful if I make videos and show that process from start to finish, so that people can see what's happening along the way. And you know, you can troubleshoot as you go along. And so I started making microgreen videos, and then it started going to pepper videos, hydroponic videos. And so right now, guys, I'm experimenting with aloe vera for the last few years. And so the craziest thing is I could not find any information on how long you can store an aloe out of the ground, because in Texas, we get freezes, and I grow so much aloe that they would just die if I leave them outside, and I don't have any room in my garage. And I was like, man, they're all going to die, and I love these plants so much. I dug them all up. I cut everything off. I cut the roots. I cut all the thing off. I put it in an Amazon box, and I took it inside. And, like when it's not cold, I open the garage, and it gets like the natural light. And it stayed in my garage for 6 months. I took it back out. I planted. They all grow right now, 100%. And then on top of that, what I did was I dug all of my aloe out. I put it into a bucket of water. And the bucket of water has been sitting there 7 months already.
Yeah.
Roots growing and everything. It's grown in water only.
You're growing an aloe in water only?
Yes, for 7 months. It's still alive right now.
Wow.
I have hundreds and hundreds of them. And
really, I'm very interested in this real quick because I give my aloe just a little bit too much water, and it's like, hey, you know what? I'm done. You're actually growing it in water.
Yes, and so aloe would die if you grow it in soil and you put too much water. But what I did was I put it into water, and then it sprout roots. You see that there's a difference.
That's the exact same discussion that we had earlier. Exactly. It's the cycles that are the problem with the aloes. I've also grown aloes in hydroponics, and without any problems. I even had orchids in hydroponics without any problems. So everything should be adaptable.
It adapts.
Yeah. In fact.
So anyway, for those people that are living further north that don't have space to put them outside or in the garage, and you don't want to kill your aloe, just dig them all up, cut all the roots off. It doesn't have to have roots at all. Just cut them all off and put them in a box, like an Amazon box or a paper box. Give it a little bit light throughout the winter, and it will stay alive for 7 to 8 months without roots, without anything. And then you can take it back out, put it into soil, and then it will sprout roots. Or you can put it in water, and it will sprout water roots. And then you can transplant it. And so I've been doing that now. So I'm pushing to the extreme. So now I'm making sure that the aloe, I want to see if it can stay alive for a year out of the
that'll be cool.
And so
see, look at all this cool stuff. Even some great experimenting as well too at those sort of things as well too. That's really awesome.
You might remember, Khang, that I'm just gonna do the story. The huge aloe that I had in the grow room. That one was sitting from August until April the next year without any watering, without any heat, without anything. And I just put in water and it was right back. So
does it kind of go dormant, maybe is what it is? It just
dormant.
dries out. It dries out and dormant. Yeah.
So what I did with it was that I just made sure that the temperature was really low where I was storing it. So it was really cold and it kind of just crumbled into itself. And then it just folded open like a desert rose. It's just weird how that plant can survive.
It's
very,
amazing.
Very resilient.
So after pushing it to the extreme for so long, I mean, I was like, aloes are just amazing. They just won't die,
No.
Unless you freeze them. Of course, the freeze will kill them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Those are more of a desert plant, and they're that's definitely something that's gonna get to them. But that's awesome, man. I really look forward to seeing how that works out and everything. It's just, again, so very interesting what plants can do and what they can go through and all of that, and what you can do with them and create and all those sort of things that we talked about today, man. Just so fascinating. And I think you guys are really just one of the things I love talking with you guys about is this sort of creativity in growing, where you're just really kind of, plant creators in a way, by experimenting and trying all these fun things and doing that stuff. I think it's just really cool, and just been really an awesome conversation today, man. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and joining with us here on our live stream. And again, like I was saying too, is we gotta get right on it and schedule another one as soon as possible. Here is maybe we'll do something every couple months or something and get together and catch up with how things are going with the aloe and how things are going in the grow room, and keep people apprised of everything happening with you guys, because again too, just a couple of my favorite growers. And really thank you for joining with me and being such a big support to our channel.
Thank you so much for having us. It's always a blast. It's so much fun, these conversations. I love them. So I'm all in for doing it a little bit more often.
Me too. I'm all in.
Yes. Excellent, man. So definitely we'll look forward to having Christopher and Khang back on the show here real soon. And again, to get down in the description below, check out the links to their channel. And again, too, we're talking about comments. Let's leave some comments. So go to one of their videos and just leave a comment and say, hey, hi from the Urban Gardener on one of their videos for us. And go definitely check them out. And again, thank you guys so much for being with us here today.
Thank you.
Let's Get Growing is sponsored by IV Organic.
Hi, my name is Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with IV Organics, where we grow cool plants and author Saving the World with the Home Garden. IV Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard has 7 natural oils that protect your plants, not just from the summer heat as well as winter cold, but also protects your plants from damaging insects and rodents. The oils in the product include castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. These oils are natural insect and rodent repellent oils, which are encapsulated by the base powder, offering your plants months of protection at a time. 1 application per year will suffice for protection against damaging summer sunburn and winter sun scald, but if the target is pests, application as much as 2 to 3 times a year may be necessary.
All right. Again, thank you all so much too for joining with us here today for this really great. We finally got in a successful roundtable discussion, and I want to tell you, it was really, really great. I just love getting together with Christopher and Khang and talking all sorts of things about what they're growing. They do some very fascinating things, so I hope all of you really enjoyed that conversation as well too. So again, too, if you are here, definitely click that like button, hit the subscribe button, and share. And like I said, leave some comments. And if you joined with us late too, and you're going back and checking out the replay or anything, jump into the comments section as well while you're there. And just say hi if you have to or whatever. Again, like I said, we're pushing comments. I want to make sure people are leaving comments on our videos and on our video replays of the show as well too, because that really helps us get seen a bit more by everywhere else, and helps us get more people joining with us. We had a lot of new people joining with us even today, which I really love about the conversation that we have here. I did want to kind of mention one thing too, is that in the conversation, it's a part of the whole live stream, is this kind of other conversation that's happening between everybody else who's watching the show and those sort of things as well too. And I just really enjoy seeing that go on during the conversation. And sometimes, and that's the kind of thing I wanted to mention too, sometimes we're talking about one subject or we're doing some things like that, and I see a question come up, or maybe a question that comes up that I notice after that sort of subject is moved on. I do try to get back to all of your questions. I want to make sure we're getting the questions in and that you are a part of this conversation too. And so if you don't see your question being asked right away, know that I'm going to be trying to work it in as best as I can when the appropriate time for the conversation comes up, so we can keep a good flow of conversation, which I think we really had today. We kept everybody involved. It was really great. And just one of the great things about doing these live streams like this is having everybody here and everybody talk, getting the chance to participate and to be a part of the conversation that we're having, because it's really great format for all of us in the gardening community to have are these live streams and this ability to do that. And that's one of the things we really love about our show, and what we get to bring to you is all of these different people from all over the gardening community, all of the creators, YouTubers, authors, people doing all sorts of things in the YouTube community that we get to have on our show to talk about and have some great conversations about all sorts of things. So again, too, just a really great conversation. And as I mentioned, to go and get in the links below too, so you can go check out those other channels, leave some comments on their page, because it's, again, really important too to also build community. And one of the things we had, like one of our other new guests we had today, came from our discussion we had with Gardener Scott on the Gardener Scott channel. So that's one of the things too. And Scott and I and other people got together with our sponsor Ivy Organics, and it was one of the big things we were discussing during this get together we had, was about how we can help each other really by connecting with each other. And that really truly is our goal with this show, is to be able to have that community and to be able to introduce you all to new people, and maybe people you already know, but new people, share garden stories, but also have you guys in the conversation as well too, so that you can be a part of all of this, and truly be a real community show too. So yeah, definitely. And as Jay says here, we are live every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern here in the States, and just for anywhere else in the world. As we know, we got everybody from all over the world too. Wickershire's like, we need to do this again. We're definitely doing it again. We're here, each and every Saturday and Sunday, as we just said there too, and we're going to do it more. We're going to have Khang and Chris back again to talk some more. We're going to have other people. We're going to try to do this gardening roundtable thing just a little bit more, invite a couple of guests together so we can have like kind of a really cool conversation between all of us and talk about different things that are going on in the gardening, maybe even seasonally and things like that. If you have suggestions of subjects and topics and things like that, definitely that's a good reason to come back to this as it's a video for the replay and get into those comments, like I'm saying, and maybe suggest some topics for some upcoming roundtables that we could have with some of our guests and everything too. John Jude said, thanks for the invite. Thank you for coming and joining more. So definitely everybody is welcome here. We invite all gardeners from all over the world to take part in all of this really fun and great conversations like we get to have here too. So awesome. Again, another awesome show. All right. So let's see here. Trying to go through, make sure we're talking about Riverdale Gardens. Is great show. Love the roundtable. Yes, again, too, this was something that I really wanted to do as we moved into the second season, because we've had so many people on our show so far. I was just talking the other day, I think totally for my whole channel, not just the show, but my whole channel together, I'm approaching somewhere around 100 interviews with unique guests. I've done multiple interviews with some of our guests, but I think I've done almost 100 individual interviews with all sorts of, like I said, just some of the best and smartest and gifted creative people in the gardening community, gardening industry, to be on our show. So we're definitely really lucky here. So definitely be sure and get out there and, like I said, share this with all of your people that out there. If you got any more, help us build the audience, help us let more people know about how much fun we're having over here on the weekends on the Let's Get Growing show. So it's just been really awesome. And again too, also I got to mention again, yesterday we did have Destin Enoch from Texas Garden Guy on the show, and another, I'm telling you, just fun conversation and getting into talking to him about his gardening story and all the things that he's got growing on over at the Texas Gardening Guy. We also got to talk to Ryan Cook for our Are You Following Me segment from Heavenly Hills Homestead. Ryan's just a really great, genuine guy. I just love his vibe and what he just brings to what he does with his channel and everything. And he invited me on to be on his show and his live streams a while back ago. I've done a couple with him now, and it was really great to finally get him on the show. And then also too, just want to mention, we do have for our Sunday edition of the show, our new monthly gardening book club. And this month's book is Tony O'Neill's Simplify Gardening, Simplify Vegetable Gardening. This is just a really great book. I've been digging into this book over the last couple of weeks, and it's just really great. It is, and I think this is what Tony does so well, not just in his book here, but with his channel and everything, is he really helps simplify understanding a lot of things about vegetable gardening and a lot of the science involved, and that's what I really find about this book, is that it's got really lots of good garden science, really just and really at the basic level to help you really understand. So definitely, even if you got garden experience or you're a new gardener, especially, go check out Tony's Simplified Vegetable Gardening book. And then we will be getting together with him on the third Sunday of the month, this month, which is, let me double check the date here. The 19th. That'll be May 19th. So the third Sunday is May 19th this month. And we will have Tony on with our good friend Mark Boucher Colbert, who does usually the In the Garden segment, which we skipped today. I wanted to jump right into the conversation and all of that. And I gave Mark a break for some personal things. I say that like a boss. I ain't no boss. Mark is just so wonderful and generous and giving us his time to put together those In the Garden segments for us. So it was really great, and it'll be really awesome to have him again joining with us. It was something that we both kind of thought would be a great idea for us to work and do together, and that way he can come on and be a co-host with me during our author interview for that show too. So that's going to be fun. We're going to keep going, and we'll talk with Tony O'Neill, and at the end of those shows, what we're also doing too is we're announcing our next month's book and doing a book giveaway. So we give out a copy of that book to our winners. And I know Jay's our winner for last month, and I got it coming. I swear it's on its way right now. So, also, too, yes, again, too, for next week, next Saturday's show, as we mentioned, again, we're Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Next Saturday, we're going to have joining back with us the show, another return guest for us this next Saturday, Mike Van Doozy from Growing with Mike Van Doozy on YouTube, and he does really well like Facebook and that sort of stuff, but he does some of the awesome, really awesome reels and everything. But his real specialty is growing some of this kind of hydroponic stuff we were talking about today, but doing it really kind of like in some of these really cool outdoor creative ways of doing all this sort of stuff. We'll dig in and talk about all of that sort of stuff and the things that Mike has growing on in his gardens next Saturday. And then again, for the Sunday edition, we will have the second Sunday of the month every month. Throughout the gardening season, we have Scott Wilson from the Gardener Scott channel joining with us to answer all of your garden questions. And really awesome. Had, like I said, a really great conversation with him. And I'm going to try to remember to do this too right after the show. Is I'll try to put links in for everybody who's watching the replay, or anybody who didn't catch the link earlier on in the live chat. Come back again. Another reason to come back to that replay real quick if you want to check for a link to check out our appearance with Gardener Scott on his live stream. Plus, I was on with another guest we had on a couple of times already last season, Farmer Greg from the Urban Farm, and he has a great podcast, the Urban Farm Podcast, and I was on his podcast just this last week as well too, talking all about my garden story. So you get to, instead of seeing me interview other people, you can go check out that podcast and hear an interview, Farmer Greg interview me for his podcast, so you can learn more about my garden story and some more things about me and all that sort of stuff if you're interested at all, I swear. But no, it was a really fun and great conversation. I always love talking with Greg as well too, so definitely go check that out too. So yeah, just a great conversation, great awesome show today. So, you know, again, too, just really glad to have all of you along with me and following along for this live stream. And definitely, again, like I said, click like buttons, react, do some comments, and help support all the show. You can go check out also our sponsor too as well, Ivy Organics at ivyorganics.com. And you can also support our show by supporting our sponsor too. So if you need any of this whitewash, because I'm telling you, this stuff works really well. We talked a bit about why and some good reasons too on yesterday's show, but I believe this is just something everybody should have in their garden shed and have available and ready to use. Whitewashing is just works really well, especially if those growing trees. But you can make this whitewash into a spray and also spray onto to help with pests and all sorts of things. You know, it's a really great product. And go check that out at ivyorganics.com. Use our promo code GROW10, GROW10, to get 10% off of everything that you buy there as far as that goes too. So I'm telling you, go get some of that stuff if you haven't already. Save 10% with our GROW code there as well. And again, too, you guys were just awesome today. So really cool to have such a great conversation today. And we got lots of great and more shows to come. As Wickershire said, let's do this again. Well, we'll definitely do again. We'll do it again next Saturday and next Sunday. And I'll see all of you then.